I'm Reed, and this is Man Cave Guitar Pedal Mania. This is a video to go along with the little performance video I just did. So I thought today I would go over my full rig and show some of the ways that I've got my Boss ES8 switcher set up. So I keep referring to my amplifier. You often can't see it. So I play through this Supro Statesman head. I've had different amplifiers over the years. I tried going digital for a while and decided that what I really liked was a very good clean amplifier that I could use and get all of my dirt out of pedals. And this Statesman is wonderful and simple. It's actually quite complex, but the way I use it is simple. It has two channels, a red channel and a blue channel, but they're both clean. The blue channel has a fantastic reverb and tone controls for bass and treble. The red channel only has a master tone and volume, and then you can combine the two as well if you feel like doing that. But it never really gets more than just kind of a breakup kind of sound. It never goes into overdrive, at least not that I've experienced. Unless you use a really high output guitar like that Vivian Campbell Les Paul that I've used in some of the other videos. So I run straight into the front of the red channel, no reverb, no anything. All of my effects come from my pedal board, including the reverb. I do not use the effects loop. And if you're brand new to guitarists, if you're like I was back in the 90s, you're just getting started and you don't know what an effects loop does, an effects loop allows you to put in effects after your amplifier's preamp. So if you're getting all of your distortion from your amp's preamp, like if you have a channel switching amplifier like a lot of Black Stars or Marshalls, and you're getting your distortion from your amplifier's preamp, you don't want to put your time-based effects, your reverbs, your delays, your choruses, in front of the amplifier. You don't want reverb going into delay. You don't want reverb going into distortion. Usually. Again, there are no rules. It's whatever sounds good to you, but most people think that sounds pretty bad. Now, because I'm playing completely clean and getting all of my dirt from pedals, I just run everything straight into the front because I'm putting all of my distortion and my gain in front of my time-based effects. From there, I go out to this Rivera Rock Crusher. This is a load box, and it is a great load box. This amplifier by itself is a 60-watt amplifier, and it is loud, way, way, way louder than any human being needs it for a room the size in which I play. So to keep my hearing, well, what's left of it, I've already lost some. I use this to adjust my final volume. Now, if you're new to the idea of electric guitars and amplifiers, why would you do that instead of just turning down the volume? Well, it's because every tube amplifier has a sweet spot. The more you turn up the volume, the better it sounds. So it's actually, you get a better result by turning up the volume, letting it run the voltage through those vacuum tubes and really make that amplifier sing, and then take your output and turn down the output. This is actually what a master volume amp does, but my Statesman is not a master volume amp. So I go out to my Rivera Rock Crusher. This is the Rock Crusher recording. It actually will go out with a 10-band equalizer that you can use to kind of mimic mic'd speakers. But I'm not using that. Instead, I split my output from the Rivera recording, and I go two places. One is my old Marshall JCM 2000 triple super lead 2x12 combo. It was the first amplifier I owned, and it was fantastic. Beautiful, clean, great distortion channel. It was fantastic until I blew up a tube socket. I was just playing one day and it went little smoke and fire out the back of the amplifier. It was pretty spectacular. And I took it to get repaired, and it hissed and popped after that, and it was never the same. So I've kept it around for years and years, and then I thought to myself, wait, this has fantastic speakers in it. So I'm actually using this simply as a 2x12 speaker cabinet. It's got mismatched Celestians in it. It sounds fantastic. I also have another 2x12 up here that's an Avatar cabinet loaded with G12H Celestians. But having a cabinet at head level, just the sound pressure from that is really intimidating, blasting it right into your head. So I prefer the lower speaker cabinet. So again, that Marshall is just being used as a 2x12 cabinet. And then I'm coming from the line out from my Rivera Rock Crusher and going into a 2-notes torpedo cab M. So this is an IR, an impulse response loader, and I'm taking the output of it and going straight into a Focusrite audio interface, which is plugged into my computer. And I'm running it on the classic rock setting. It's a 2x12, I think. I'm actually not even sure about that. I think it's a 2x12. Anyway, I think it sounds fantastic. So if I just plug straight into the front of the amplifier, that is what you get. Supro Statesman on the red channel, going through the Rivera Rock Crusher, and then out from the Rivera Rock Crusher to both this JCM 2000, which is just being used as a speaker cabinet, and my 2-notes torpedo cab M, which I'm then using for my recording input. Earlier I posted a short performance of me playing the song Hurricane by King's X off of the album Overtones. If you're not familiar with it, I really hope you check it out. It's a fantastic album, and King's X is an amazing band. Ty Tabor, I think, is just an amazing guitarist and composer. Also, you know, Doug and Jerry, the other members of the band, but Ty is really my guy. I've had the opportunity to meet those guys several times. They're all great people. They're really fun to talk to, and I just love their music. And they're not making much money as King's X, so they really do it for the love of the music, and I think that's very admirable. It's not admirable that they're not making money, though. Go out and buy their albums. Doggone, people. Alright, so as I've said in other videos, I mostly, when I'm playing, play along with other people's music. However, it's never my goal to try and sound exactly like the artist whose music I'm playing. So I set up my pedal board for 3 basic sounds. I have clean, I have light overdrive, and then I have medium overdrive. And then I go back in and I add basically solo versions of that. Now I never play just completely clean. And I don't play clean in that track. I have light overdrive on. I'm going to do a separate camera angle where I show all the pedals for this. I'll just be talking and playing. So as my kind of foundational overdrive, I've got a Walrus Audio Voyager. And it sounds like this. You can hear the spring reverb there. I've got quite a bit of spring reverb. That's coming from my Boss RV500. So, without the overdrive, with the overdrive. Now, I should point out, as I think I already said, I rarely play completely clean. So I often, if I'm playing clean, I've got my compressor going, and this is a Walrus Audio Deep 6. It took me a while to really get my head around what compression does, but the easiest way to think of it is it makes your loud notes softer and your soft notes louder, kind of evens out your dynamics. It's not always a good thing, but it does make, if you've got a really uneven picking attack, it actually kind of smooths things out. So I'm going to really crank it. without the compression on. There's a lot less dynamics. Also, compression adds to your noise floor. That's just an inherent thing about compression circuits. So, my foundational level of overdrive, though, is this. Now, if I want to go to a medium level of overdrive, right now I'm just in love with the Danelectro The Breakdown. So that supplies all of my medium gain. It's got 6 different settings on it. I typically leave it at setting 3 or 4 depending on the output of the guitar. This has a very PAF level output. I haven't measured it. It's probably 8 or 9K. Have to look at the Kiesel website and see what they say their beryllium pickup is. It's not super hot though. So I put it on 4 and I think it provides... And I know with the shotgun microphone you can still hear the pick attack on the guitar, but if you imagine that you were in an audience, you wouldn't be able to hear that. Not that I ever play out live, and it doesn't bother me at all. So, just to compare again, this is my light overdrive. And my medium overdrive. As you can hear, they're not universes apart, but they are different flavors. And oh, when I go to the medium overdrive, I am going to a different reverb as well. I'm on the arena setting now on my Boss RV500. I actually like reverb so much that I have gone through each preset and dialed in exactly what I think is the reverb that sounds best with it. Now, if I need a little bit more gain than that, I simply add the 2 pedals together, with the Voyager going into the Danelectro The Breakup. Think of it this way. People will tell you sometimes they like overdrives best if they've got an amplifier that's kind of breaking up. Well, if you have a really clean amplifier like the Statesman and you want it to break up, you use the Breakup. And then you stick the Voyager in front of it. And I'm going to turn off the delay for a second. And then you get this. So if we go back to medium overdrive, add in the Voyager, and then for the solo, once again I am changing the reverb and I'm adding some delay. In this case, I've changed to a studio reverb setting on the RV500. And I'm going through my Boss DD3 digital delay. So the whole thing sounds like this. And as you can hear, there's a little bit of noise. Maybe you can hear that. I don't know if that's going to come through on the audio track or not. But that's with the Breakup and the Voyager engaged, and there's not a lot of noise. Now, if I really want to go nuts, I actually can add the compression in as well, and that adds a lot of noise. So I don't usually use all three of them. And that's how I recorded that song, with the light overdrive on the chordal passages when I'm going to the power chords. And because I play by myself, I like to add inverted power chords, so I've got an extra fifth in the bass. If I'm playing on the A string, obviously you can't do that on the E string. And then for the solos, so really three flavors of drive. I have the Voyager, I have the Breakdown, then I have the Voyager into the Breakdown. So why do I need a pedal board that has 13 additional flavors of overdrive? Well, I'm going to do a different video on that. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy this video. I'm going to do some handheld camera and just show you some of the settings, I think. I can't do that and play at the same time. In the future, I'm hoping to be able to do a two-camera setup, but right now, this is the way I have to do it. I'll do a more in-depth video on my ES8 switcher in the future. I know I'm several years behind being cutting edge on that, but I absolutely love this switcher. And I do not know much about MIDI, so I was not sure I would be able to use this at all, but I love it. The only MIDI I use for it is I use it to control my RV500, and get a close-up on this. As you can see, for every button press goes to a different reverb style. So I believe that anytime you're using a device like a switcher, you should have your sound set up as close to each other as you can. So I have my sound for clean and compression on 2. Now that activates only this Deep 6 Voyager unit and my RV500. By the way, Walrus Audio, I love your stuff, but this light is just insanely bright. I have no idea why they put such a bright light on that. So if I'm playing clean, I would have it here on the compression, and then if I'm playing overdrive, I have it over here on the overdrive. Whoops, which makes sense. Now, as you can see, my gain here is really just about at 10 o'clock. So there is a lot of gain left in this pedal, but that's just kind of a sweet spot for me on the low gain that I use it for. My Danelectro The Breakdown, it's such a simple pedal. I set the volume for unity, and again, for a medium output pickup, I like it on 4. For a higher output pickup, I put it back at 3, and that's about it. But on clean, I go from a spring to the arena for my medium, and then studio reverb for the solo. But in the solo, I add in my Boss DD3, and there you can see the delay times. So I've got it up around, I'm going to guess about 600 milliseconds. I don't know for sure on that, but it's less than 800 and more than 200, and it's set at about 1 o'clock on the delay time. And then I've got the effect level a little bit below noon. I don't want the reverb completely overtaking the individual notes. So this is what I meant by having your controls close to each other. This is my clean tone, and then I have clean solo, which I didn't use in that track, then my medium overdrive, and then my overdrive solo. So they're all right there next to each other so that they're easy to reach. And yes, those pedals on the lower tier do get in the way just a little bit, but I have not really found a way around that yet. I may try experimenting with the location of the switcher in the future, but right now, this works pretty well. Oh, I will also mention, I like to use products by different companies. So this pedal board is by Holy Boards. It's their largest pedal board with a riser. And then for power, I am using a a Walrus Audio Phoenix power supply. Now, this board has 3 effects on it: the Digitech Drop, the Freakout, and the RV500 that all need 300 milliamp output. And I'm going to be adding a DD500, which also needs 300 milliamp output. And that Phoenix power supply has 4 300 milliamp output, so it handles all those digital high current pedals no problem. Has plenty of output for the regular drop pedals. And then my Sans amp runs on 12 volts, and I can set one of the outputs to 12 volts. So I run everything on this board out of that Phoenix power supply, and it is fantastic. I'm not sold on the Holy Board concept completely. As you can see, you use Ziploc ties to attach the pedals, which sounds fantastic, but sometimes it's really hard to find the right pairing of holes to run your zip ties at a place where it's not going to interfere with the pedal. So it worked out great on the RV500, but over here on my Echo Sax Baby, I'm not as happy with it. And if you swap out pedals a lot, which I do, you end up going through a lot of Ziploc ties. And Ziploc ties are cheap, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know if it's more inconvenient than using Velcro, but it is kind of annoying.